Good morning, friends. It's Tracey from Tea Time with Tracey and Friends. It's early in the morning. It's light out. I just fed my furry and feathered friends outside. Ooh, I look like a hot mess. Anyways, this is a March wrap-up. I don't know if I'm going to continue with these. I will, but just in a different format at some point. But I have all of these books I want to put away on my shelf, and they've been sitting there, and they're the books that I read last year, or last month in March. So, in no particular order, I read The Mammoth Hunters. This is book 3 in the Earth's Children series by Jean M. All, or I'm not sure. The first book is Clan of the Cave Bear, which I read. That was on my Beefcake Challenge, or one of those TBRs that I have. The second book is Valley of the Horses. And the third book is this. I did this on Audible, though, or Everand, I think it was, because my sister had this book. Anyway, she was home last week and brought my books back. So I think there's 2 or 3 more in the series, and it's a prehistoric journey adventure. I've never read a book like this, but it's the time of saber-toothed tigers or mammoths and, you know, things like that. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool, man. I read a couple thrillers. This is Behind Closed Doors, B.A. Paris. This is a domestic violence thriller about a couple that looks perfect on the outside, but behind closed doors, absolutely not. He's extremely controlling, and there's a lot of abuse. I enjoyed it, but situations like this, I'm just like, oh, I would just do this and this, but I did enjoy it. So, thriller. Like, I don't want to get right into all the description. I would recommend it if you're into domestic thrillers. Yeah, it was my first B.A. Paris, I believe, too. This was a new release. It was just dropped last month. It's in the Immortals After Dark by Cressley Cole, Shadow's Heart. You can read them as standalones, but there is an overarching story to the whole series. I think this is book 20 or 21 in the series. This is about, oh gosh, I forget their names. Oh, Princess Kazumina and Silt. Kazumina is a princess in the Dacian vampire city of mist vampires, and Silt is pretty much the Sandman. He's a sorcerer dubbed the Sandman, and they're in this hell plane, and they need to survive, and they're enemies, sort of thing. Enemies to lovers, paranormal romance. I loved it, but anything Cressley Cole writes, I'm going to automatically give it 5 stars. I just love her so much. I read another thriller. I think I drew this for the cover, mainly blue. Yeah, this is the second book by Peter Swanson I read. I read The Time to Kill a few years ago. It was all right. I donated the book or whatever. It was all right. It wasn't as mind-blowing as some people think it is. This one is kind of, it's not domestic thriller, but this is about an engaged couple that do get married at the beginning, but for their honeymoon, they go to this excluded resort. There's not very many women there, and it's all men for the most part. And everybody's acting a little strange. At first, she doesn't notice, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It didn't go where I thought it was going to go. And yeah, I went into this completely blind. I didn't know they're at this excluded resort that the husband is just raving about. Turns out these men, they're a little disjointed, but that's all I'll say about that. I enjoyed it. For the thrillers, I don't think I'll ever read it again. I will probably donate these to the free libraries, but it was on my shelf. I thrifted this out in Alberta last year, the year before. It was, you know, $1 or $2, and yeah. Truth by Aletha Romeg. This is book 2 in the Consequence series. I read book 1, I think, in February or January. So I can't really tell you what this is about. The first book is about a young woman who works in a strip joint. I believe she strips, but she is also a bartender, waitress sort of thing too. One of the guys that go there, he's dark and mysterious and takes a shine to her, convinces her to go out to dinner, and drugs her and brings her back to his house and says they're getting married, and controls her and abuses her, and it's absolutely horrendous. And it goes on from there. So this is book 2. I read this. I still don't believe this man has redeemed himself. I don't know how the heck this man is supposed to redeem himself from book 1 at all. Son of a bitch, honestly. Maybe it's just me. No. That's all I can say about it. A dark romance, not totally explicit sexual content. There is sexual content in here, but it's not extremely descriptive. But yeah. All right. Gassed. I think I pulled this for when I pulled disturbing. This is an extreme horror. Edward Lee, anything you read by Edward Lee is absolutely brutal, violent, disgusting, funny. There's some funny thing. This author is not for somebody that gets offended by politically incorrect or violation. This is about a middle-aged man, or he's a TV personality that talks about beer, and he goes around to different bars and reviews beer and stuff like that. Anyways, his career's kind of going into the gutter, so he goes to this southern town to try to boost his career and try these craft things. Anyways, he goes to this town that has a very dark history. It's where the Civil War was, and there's a haunted past is what I'll say. But yeah, he rents a room in a Airbnb. The people are a little strange. Some of them are very welcoming and friendly, almost too friendly. But there's some stuff in here. Scenarios, sexual scenarios with brutality and violence and torture. Again, not for everybody at all. I enjoyed it. There's another book of this same story by him. It's called The Black Train. It's almost like it's edited a little more finely. I do have that. I have not read it. Because I looked it up. I'm like, what's the Black Train? Because this is about a railroad that goes through this train. That's the famous railroad. But the Black Train is just, I guess, cut down a little bit. This is the raw dog kind of extreme horror. But I did enjoy it. I even laughed at some of the crazy, brutal, insane scenarios because of just the way he wrote it. And la-di-da. But you got to take your thinking cap off when you read a story like that and just read it for what it is. Yeah. Anyways, I forget what I pulled this for, but, I think it was a number. I forget. Anyways, Haunting Adeline. This is a duet. There's cat and mouse duet. There are books that accompany it, but it's not technically in the cat and mouse. I read Satan's Affair, which is a prequel to this duet, and something about Molly or something that you can read after this, but it's not part of this story. Anyways, this is the first book in a duet. I do have both books. I do want to read Hunting Adeline, but this is about a young woman that inherits a house from her aunt. I forget. I read this at the beginning of March. And it's a great big old house, and she's noticing, she's feeling like somebody's watching her. She's getting little gifts left at her door. I think most people, maybe not most people, a lot of people have read this and say it's extremely dark. It is dark. There's a lot of dark concepts and scenarios in this. The man she hires to put a security system in her house starts stalking her. she's an author, and he first seen her at a book signing or a book event at the beginning of the book. And he took a shine to her right away, and he became obsessive about her. There's different elements in this book. This guy that stalks her is involved in, I would say, well, he has connections to politicians that have a shady background with trafficking and things like that. And at the end of this book, it leaves it on a cliffhanger. I enjoyed it. I'm not offended, like, oh my gosh, it's so dark, I can't read it. I get it, how some people would feel that way. But I do have book 2, and I'm hoping to read it soon. I enjoyed it. I read, what did I read? Shallow something last year of hers. Shallow River, I think. I found that more disturbing. Well, in the brutal acts that are in that than this. But the trafficking element in this of young people, that's disturbing, obviously. Anyways, so book 2, I do want to read. This one, I enjoyed it. It was all right. I'd give it like a 3.5, maybe. I think book 2 is darker than that one. All right, and then I read The Passage last month. This is the first book in a trilogy. I have book 2 on this April's TBR. I'm already done it, actually. It's quite good. Anyway, so I have one more book in this series. Anyways, this is a dystopian vampire series by Justin Cronin. I can tell you what this is about. The first part of this book, a good, I would say, like that, not quite half, is like present day. Well, I forget when this is written, early 2000s or something like that. I forget. Anyways, present day life, and there's a branch of the government that is trying to evolve soldiers. So it's an underground sect of the government. Anyways, they kind of developed these vampire, genetically altered people way down in the southern America, like rainforest area. Anyways, it turns out it goes sideways, of course, and they're like vampires. They're not like the vampires you see in other movies or books and stuff. They look a bit different, and they are fast, and they just ravish in a brutal, blood-sucking way. Anyways, the first part of this book, it follows a police officer and a little girl. Before those two hook up, there's a whole other storyline of the little girl who gets abandoned at a nunnery by her mother due to poverty, and the government are trying to look for young subjects, like children, to do these experiments on. So word gets out that this little girl was abandoned, so the government is sending out these 2 officers to go retrieve her from this nunnery. And these 2 officers don't know why the government want them, but when they find out, one of the officers takes the child to try to save her, and it follows their timeline up until just about the end of, how, well, not the end of the man's life in the sense, but where the story fast forwards 75 years. I'm not explaining this very well at all, but obviously the world has been turned upside down, and a lot of people were wiped out, and the world is never the same again. And then it follows another group of people. But one of the people from way back, 75 years ago, is still living, young and kicking, and she's not quite human, but she's not a vampire. She's something else. So anyways, I really enjoyed this book. I think I read this last month. I don't think I talked about this book before. Anyways, anyways, last but not least, it was middle grade March last month, and I didn't read as many middle grade as I thought I was going to do. I read Wind in the Willows, though, and I planned on watching the movie on YouTube. There's a whole bunch of, there's a cartoon, there's a live action, there's a whole bunch of, I do plan on watching it because I remember watching that as a child and really loved it. It's almost like humbling and whimsical and fantastical and imaginative, and it just slows your brain down when you watch it. Anyways, this just follows little critters, and it's like an adventure or everyday living mundane things, but you follow them as these guys. I read the third book in the Chronicles of Narnia, The Boy and His Horse. That's middle grade, I believe. So these 7 books are on my 25 in 2025. So I've read 3 of the Narnia books. So I read 2 middle grade books last month. All right, for audiobooks, I read The Stepford Wives by Ira Levins. If you've seen the movie, well, movies, you kind of get the gist of it. And it's not a very long book at all. And it is about this family that buy a house in a small community that seems like suburbia, perfect paradise. Things are a little whackers crackers. The people that the wife got to know all of a sudden change and are the perfect domestic housewife that they don't want to do anything except serve their husband and take care of their children. And their children can talk smack to their moms and, you know, like all this stuff. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I forget, it's probably 4, maybe 5-hour audiobook. It's not very long. Rainy Day by Kate Stewart. If you read the Ravenhood series, Flock, Exodus, and The Finish Line, I read that last year, the year before. I really liked it. The girl kind of got on my nerves, especially in the first book. But I really enjoyed that trilogy. This is an extension of that, of one of the characters that are in Ravenhood. And it's very sad. The Ravenhood series has a very sad part in it. This is, I really enjoyed it, but it's very sad. I would like to get the paperback, because I do have the Ravenhood series in paperback. Just, all right. Okay, that one. Okay, the Grip trilogy by Kennedy Ryan. This is the first book in, I think it's called the Grip trilogy. Grip. This, I had no idea what this was about. I thought it was a sports romance. It's not. It's, I say rock star, but he's not a rock star. He's a rapper or, you know, R&B person. And she is like a promotional agent, or like the agent to this man. They have a history of young adult teen love, but they ended up breaking up. It's miscommunication, and it drives me friggin' crazy. It was well written. There are characters in it. I can't even get it. The main character in this, he's the performer. And he has been fiending for this agent friend for years. He does, you know, associate and, you know, get a girl on a regular basis, only because he can't have the girl that he wants. And he always just approaches her, you know, and asks whenever they see each other, but she's like, no, I can't get involved with that, with you. And it's all miscommunication. And I've come to realize that's my least favorite trope. I don't like miscommunication. I don't like it in my real life. You know, just say what you mean and mean what you say. Anyways, the book was good. This is biracial couple too. So that was interesting. And anyways, I zipped through it. I do have all 3 books on Audible. I will read them, but I don't think that if I didn't have them already on Audible, I probably wouldn't. You know what I mean? Again, not bad. The writing was good. The characters were developed. There was nothing. It's just the trope. I don't like it. And I don't know if book 2 follows these 2 again or somebody else, because there are other musical people in this story, because she is the agent to other people as well. This follows her and she has a dysfunctional relationship with her mother, and his family don't really approve of her because she is white. There's just a lot of stuff, but the missing communication just is a bone of contention for me. Anyways, The Life We Bury by Alan Askin, again, Audible. This is a horror thriller. I really enjoyed this. I had no idea what it was about, but this is about a young man. He's in college. He has an autistic brother, kind of a young adult autistic brother, and a mother who is neglective and alcoholic, and just gets one man after another. He's probably in his like mid-20s. One of his college or university assignments is to go and interview an older person. He doesn't have older people in his life. He doesn't know his father. His mother is useless, and his younger brother that he kind of looks out for when he can, because, you know, so he goes to a nursing home to see if there's somebody there he can interview, and he gets stationed with this old man who had just transferred there 3 months ago, and he is a convicted murderer. But at this point, this guy has stage 4 cancer. He's been in prison for 50, 60 years. He's an old man, and he starts to interview him. Lo and behold, he kind of uncovers that maybe he wasn't a murderer. It was a brutal murder of a young woman who was killed and burned in a shed. But the facts aren't really lining up, and the young man gets the old man to sign permission to have his file released, because it's been so long. You can request the file. So the young man and his neighbor look through it, and they try to figure out, because they don't believe this old man is actually guilty of that. And yeah, anyways, there's a few different things going on, stuff with his brother and his neglective mother, the old man, the 2 neighbors, and who actually killed this young woman, and what's going to happen to his brother when his mom just abandons him, and all this stuff. Anyways, I enjoyed it. I would recommend it. Last but not least is Dead City by Joe McKinnon. This is, I don't know how many books are in the series. This follows a police officer. At the very beginning, he's out with his partner, and things start getting a little crazy. Like, people, if they have to stop, they're not stopping when they have the gun pointing at them and saying freeze, like they end up getting shot, and they're still walking towards them. Anyways, it's the kickoff of a zombie apocalypse. I'm not sure how the zombie apocalypse started. I don't remember that, how it started. But the world goes to hell in a handbasket, and it follows these police officers, eventually down to 1 police officer, trying to get back to his wife and 6-month-old baby daughter, I think. But he's quite a ways, like it's a giant city. I forget where it takes place, but hospitals are overrun, police stations are overrun. It's pretty much him, a survival, trying to get back to his family. No more police, even though he's technically a police officer and a thing, but he can't get a hold of anybody, and everybody that he tries to get a hold of is turned into a zombie. So I love zombie stuff. I do. I don't mind zombie books, even though a lot of them are cookie cutter scenarios, but I enjoyed it. And yes, I do want to read the rest of this series, and I have it, so eventually I will. Well, hey, editing Tracey here. I'm here editing. I'm about to edit my book video, and I just got editing one of my other channel's videos. Anyways, there was one book I forgot to talk about. It's I picked it out of my game. It was sci-fi, so I picked a sci-fi horror. It's called Wrath by, I forget what the names are, but here's a picture of it. Anyways, I really enjoyed this book. It was on Audible. I had bought it on some sale, and anyways, it was about this lab that's underground, kind of funded, and it was about making pets more intelligent. They first started off with a goldfish or some sort of fish,
and it glowed neon, and that was really successful. So these crazy scientists kept getting funded to try to do different animals. They tried a donkey, or I forget now. There was a few different things that they tried. One was a bird, which was successful at first, but then it just drove people crazy because it would talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Anyways, the scientist, like the geneticist, is actually, she's just so science like oriented. She really wants to be able to try the stuff, but ethically she wars within herself. But the guy that's kind of the ringleader of it all, he's crazy. He's crazy. You get a little bit of his backstory, and he's just misunderstood. He's extremely bullied when he's young. His family's dysfunctional, and he's extremely wealthy and successful, only he's crazy. You know, you feel for him a bit, but then he's just an arsehole. Anyways, they start doing it with rats, and these rats get super intelligent. Eventually, the main rat, kind of breaks out. You get kind of the perspective from this rat sometimes, and the rat seems to be able to control all the rats in New York City, and it goes whackers crackers. They attack people, but there's one little boy who has challenges himself. He can't hear good, but he can hear via like vibrations and things. So he can hear this main rat, and the main rat kind of escapes because there was going to be some sort of, opening ceremony for this new pet that would be wonderful for kids. And he hears this rat calling for help backstage. He goes backstage, sneaks back there, and sees this rat, and he can understand this rat. So he takes him and escapes with him, and that's how the rat gets loose. And it just goes whackers crackers from there. I really enjoyed it. I do recommend it. I just forgot to mention it. It was one of those audiobooks that I did. But I liked it so much I wanted to pop in here to make sure I mentioned it, and I'll remember it years to come when I come back and watch this video, maybe. You never know. All right, back to the show.
Okay, that's everything I read in the month of March, and I really enjoyed myself. I just want to be able to take these off my table and put them on my bookshelf, backside out, so I know that I've read them, and continue on with my reading for the month of April. I'm doing good so far. But anyways, I'm going to say peace, love, and happiness today and every single day. Please like, share, and subscribe if you so choose, but if not, that's okay too. I still love you. I still want all the happiness in the world for each and every one of you out there. I certainly do. I really, really honest and truly do. Yes, I do. So, okay, guys, with that, I'm going to say have a good night or have a good morning. And I will. See you soon. Bye. Boing.